do a sermon. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bart Ratliff. Welcome to the first Professional Business Connection Summit in Salt Lake City. This is actually our second summit we've done. We actually did one in Sydney all the way back July 2022. So, yeah. Thank you, Laura. But anyway, we're so happy everybody could be here today. We have some great presenters, and I'm so excited that y'all can make it out this evening. A big round of applause and thank you to our title sponsor, Mr. Cameron Thorne of BNI Utah North. Studios are providing our live stream. Thank you. And Miss Tony Cox Photography, she's taking care of all our event photos. And of course, all of our amazing sponsors that y'all got to spend the last hour and a half with. So anyway, again, my name's Bart Ratliff. As y'all might be able to tell, I'm not from around here. I'm an Oklahoma boy. But I've been in Salt Lake City for about a year, and I absolutely love it up here. And most of y'all are familiar with BNI, yes? Have a lot of visitors here. I know a lot of people had a lot of visitors here. But anyway, a little background on me and BNI. BNI has been a big part of my life since 2005. And I joined a chapter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I don't think anybody would be here tonight if it wasn't for that first meeting I went to back in 2005 in BNI, because my life has absolutely changed since being a member of BNI. So I started in BNI in Pittsburgh to St. Louis, to San Jose, to Las Vegas, now to Salt Lake City, so I appreciate it. But anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to bring up our first speaker this evening, a gentleman by the name of James Muir. Now, James, I met last year in Atlanta, Georgia, at a little conference called Outbound. And Outbound is an amazing conference hosted by Jeb Blunt, the guy that wrote Fanatical Prospecting. Everybody know who Jeb Blunt is, Fanatical Prospecting? Amazing book. If you don't have it, you got to get it. But James, I had a chance to see him speak. And James, you're like from, what's your city here?
I live in Harriman.
Harriman,
yeah.
He's a local boy.
I didn't have to catch a flight, just came from across town.
Well, I knew you were right here. So I was so honored that when I called James, he was able to speak. So James is a 30-year sales and marketing professional like myself. He's a professional author, and his book, The Perfect Close, number 21 all time in sales book, number 21. The book is absolutely amazing. So I called up James. I said, James, hey, why don't you come speak? And I want you to answer two very important questions. So with that being said, please welcome my good friend, Mr. James Muir.
Now, am I supposed to answer a question or two, or am I going to do that in my presentation?
Why don't you go ahead and do that in your presentation?
All right.
Okay, so you know how much...
So, I don't know if you know me from my book, The Perfect Close, but again, best-selling book. Some of you might already know it. In that book, I outline the best practice in closing. It's just two questions. It's zero pressure and 95% effective. Okay? So, being the persuasive guy that he is, he says to me, he goes, hey, we're having this event, and could you just come out and just tell us the two questions, right? Just teach us the two questions. Will you come teach them to us? I mean, you say right in the book that it only takes 5 minutes to learn, so why don't you just come out and, and teach us the questions? And so, he's pretty persuasive, right? And then he says, just like he was saying here a second ago, he goes, and your session at Outbound was super motivating. So maybe you could throw that in too, right? And then he says, could you keep it all to 20 minutes? All right, so there you go. So you think we can do it? Yeah. All right, well, let's go for it.
Thank you, James.
Let's go for it. All right, so this is my backup since it's hard to see these monitors right here. We'll skip past this. So by raise of hands here, right? What percentage of sales situations do you think end without any commitment being asked for whatsoever, right? What percentage do you think that is? Oh, look at you guys. All right, let's do it by hands. All right, so if you think it's more than 30%, raise your hand. Oh, everybody. All right, so if you think it's, leave your hand up if you think it's more than 50%. Okay, no hands going down. Okay, how about 70%? Okay, some hands going down. 80%. You guys are hardcore, man. All right, so 90%. Okay, you still got, who's got hands up still here? Guess what? You are right. You are right. 50 to 90% of all sales encounters end without any commitment being asked for whatsoever. Why is that? Why is that? That is an astonishing statistic. And as I reflected on this, I thought, that's what our job is, right? When we're interacting with someone, our job is to move the process forward in some way, regardless of whether we're an entrepreneur or whether we're a salesperson or whether we're an executive. That's our job, is to move the process forward. So the answer to that question is why, is it boils down to two things: will and skill. Okay? And will is, of course, the motivation or the willingness to go ahead and ask for a commitment. Skill would just be knowing how. So let me ask you another question. So of these two, which one do you think is the most common reason that people actually don't ask? What's the most common cause of people being reluctant in internet? Oh, okay. Oh, I hear it's not clear. All right, so raise your hand if you think it's skill. Okay, all right, so raise your hand if you think it's will. Boom, it's will, isn't it? You're right? It's absolutely will. So, what the good news is, I am going to help you with both those things today, right? I'm going to help you with both those things. So let's start with skill. So 50 to 90%, that is just an astonishing, mind-boggling statistic. So why is that? I'm getting a little feedback. So why do you think that is? Well, probably a really big contributor to that is that 99% of all of the closing techniques that are being taught out there are manipulative. They are. Bart, I have a mower that I don't use anymore, and I need to get rid of it. Would you like to pay me $200 or $300 for that mower?
I think I'm going for the $200.
That's the alternate choice. Would you like to come by and pick it up at my place on Tuesday or Thursday? And if you don't get it, the price is going up. Price is going up if you don't get it now, right? So what's he thinking? How does that feel when we use those kind of tactics, right? He's probably just thinking, a mower, well, is it even a riding mower? Well, would you buy it if it was?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you can't even ask a normal question without somebody pulling some kind of a closing gambit on you, right? So, and there are millions more of these, millions more. And here's the thing about all of these, is that you want to know the real reason why people don't request some kind of advance or commitment in 50 to 90% of sales? It's because the way we've been taught damages trust. It damages the relationship. And we don't want to damage the relationship. What we want is lifelong relationships, quality, authentic, lifelong relationships. And so we get into a situation where we need to ask for commitment. We don't know how to do that in a way that doesn't damage the relationship, and so what do? We do nothing, right? We don't do nothing. We don't do anything. And that's how I was, okay? So, but there's a better way. There's a better way to do this, right? A way that doesn't damage the relationship, a way that makes the customer feel like they're in control, and a way that makes you the consultant and a coach and a trusted advisor. And obviously that's the perfect closer. I wouldn't be up here, right? So let's jump to it here. Now, before I teach you the two questions that are in the perfect close, it's important that we go into any situation with an idea of what we want as the outcome, right? What do we want to happen in this outcome? Okay, and when we go into a situation, we should have an ideal advance and we should have a couple of backup advances. Do you all know what advances are? So Neil Rackham here, you see this picture here. Neil Rackham actually coined this phrase in terms of a sale, in relationship to a sale. He called it an advance. And the definition of advance is basically moving the sale forward in a little way, right? Just moving the sale forward in a little way. Okay, and the thing is Neil Rackham actually did face-to-face studies. They studied 35,000 face-to-face sales interactions. And what they learned, amongst other things, is that 9 out of 10 sales interactions actually don't end in a close or no sale. They don't. What happens in 9 out of 10 sales interactions is either an advance, that is, it moves forward in a little way, or what he called a continuation. A continuation is what he calls, the sale's not going to end, but it's not progressing either, okay? Got to be careful where I walk. I'm getting a little feedback. So the key here is that before we go into any interaction, we want to have an ideal advance, right? And we want to have 2 backup advances. And with that, then you're ready and you're prepared to use the perfect close. And the perfect close is very simple. There's just 2 questions. There's an initial question And there's a follow-up question. And a lot of times you won't even have to use the second question, right? Because things will turn out good on the first one. So the first question is, so if you're writing things down, the first question is, does it make sense for us to X? Okay? Does it make sense for us to X? And in this case, the X is our ideal advance, right? So an example would be, does it make sense for us to schedule an assessment so we can see what our best options are? Okay? That's an example. Now, there's only two answers that they can come up with here, right? They're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. If they say yes, then awesome. We just got our advance and we're off to the races. If they say no, then we're just going to ask them question number 2. And question number 2 is, well, what's a good next step then? Something like that, right? Something like, what is a good next step then? And here's what I can tell you. After having done hundreds of ride-alongs with my own teams, if you ask, what's a good next step then? The client will, in 90% of cases, the client is going to suggest a very logical step for where they're at right now. Does that make sense? In fact, this is a very key important point, is the best close is one that is pacing at the rate that the customer is ready for. Right? That's the one we want. And this allows us to pace it at the rate that they're ready for. It's when we try to push the customer faster than they're ready for that it starts to feel like manipulation. Okay, y'all with me on this? And so doing it this way allows us to be non-confrontational but still advance the sale and move forward. Okay, so this is the basic model right here, what we're looking at. So the outcome here is, you can see the model. Does it make sense to do X? We say yes, great, we get an advance. We say no, then we say, okay, well, what do you think is a good next step? And what I can tell you, and I've trained hundreds of salespeople, is that just using this one model alone will either get you an advance or a close pretty much every time. 90% of the time, that's going to happen. In fact, even if your salesperson doesn't know what the client's process is, because we ask what's a good next step, then the customer will actually walk them through what the logical next steps are. So they can get productive right away using a solution like this. Okay? Now, this is the basics. And usually in a crowd like this, I get some smart aleck that will say something like, well, James, 90% is pretty good, but it isn't perfect, right? It isn't perfect. So that's true. What I'm going to teach you now that you understand the core, the basics of it, we're going to juice this up. We're going to make this even better, okay? We're going to trick it out a little bit. And in fact, there are actually 5 different variations of the perfect close. What you just learned was the kindergarten version, right? That's the basic, most basic version, okay? One of those versions is called the suggestion. And in the suggestion, what we do is we're going to prefix that first question with just something else. We're actually seeding their thinking a little bit with this statement. We say something along the lines of, other clients at this stage typically do X. And then we say, does it make sense for us to do X? Okay, so an example using that assessment, I was saying, other clients at this stage typically have us do an assessment to see where the best efficiencies are. Does it make sense for us to schedule an assessment for you guys? Do you see how that works? Do you see how it's facilitative? We're just coaching them a little bit. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you here sell something that people buy rarely, like once or twice in a lifetime? Raise hands. Okay, houses fall in this category. Okay, good. All right, well, then you know what I'm talking about when I say, when you're suggesting a next step, you're being very helpful to them because they have almost no experience buying what we're selling, right? They don't have an idea of what a good next step is. So when we're suggesting that, we're actually helping them, okay? Now, you can actually use this suggestion on the second question as well if you want to. So if you were to ask, does it make sense for us to X, and they don't have a good answer, they don't feel like they're comfortable with that, you can also, on the second step, you can use the same thing. You can say, all right, well, other clients at this stage tend to do Y. Does it make sense for us to do Y? Okay, so we can follow that. In fact, that's what this next thing, actually, I'll show it to you in a minute. We call that the fallback when you do that. Now, when I first show this, you've kind of got your head around a little bit, so I want to drill down just a little bit so that you walk out of here knowing how to do this. Okay? Now, when I show this to folks, usually 90% of the time, what they're worried about is what if they say no to my ideal advance? That's what they're worried about. What if they say no to that? So let's analyze that a little bit. When we ask somebody, does it make sense? What are we really asking? What are they saying no if they say no to that? Are they saying, no, I'm not going to buy your stuff? No, because we didn't ask them to buy anything, did we? Okay. Are they saying, no, I'm not going to take your action? No, because we didn't ask them to take an action. All we asked is, does it make sense? Right? And we're not really asking them to do anything. Okay? We're just asking if it makes sense. At its core, does it make sense is actually a timing question, right? It's a timing question. And because it's a timing question, they cannot reject our course of action. They can only reject the timing of it. Now, let that sink in for a second. It's a key point here. With the perfect close, the customer can't reject your course of action. They can only reject the timing of it. And that leaves us emotionally on much, much higher ground, right? If I say, will you buy my stuff? And they say no, we got an emotional drop there, right? But I would say, hey, does it make sense for us to do this? And even if they say no, say, okay, well, what do you think is a good next step? Do you feel how the emotion is so much better with that type of an approach? Okay, so this is a key point. It's a key point. They can't reject your thing. They can only reject the timing of it, okay? So I mentioned before, when we use the question, the suggestion on a fallback question, we call that the fallback. So this is, now we're getting into the variations, right? So this is what it is. And let me just zip forward to the next one. We can actually fall back multiple times. So in this example, just to kind of ingrain it into your psyche, let's walk through this, right? So I ask them, hey, does it make sense to do X? And if they say yes, awesome, right? We got an advance. If they say no, then I say, all right, well, other clients at this stage sometimes do Y. Does it make sense for us to do Y? And if they say yes, awesome, right? We just got our advance. If they say no, then we say, okay, well, sometimes clients at this stage will also do Z. Does it make sense for us to do that? And if they say yes, awesome. We got our advance. If they say no, then we're just going to throw the ball back to them. We're going to say, okay, well, what do you think is a good next step then? Is that making sense? All right. So hopefully you're getting how cool this is, right? All right. So, but guess what? There's an even cooler version than this. There's an even cooler variation, and that variation is called the add-on. And the add-on is the same as the fallback, except for instead of falling back to our backup advances, we're going to be tacking them on. Okay? We're going to add them on. Right? And there's one other difference between this and the fallback. And that's instead of, at the end of fallback, we throw the ball back to the customer and we say, hey, well, what do you think is a good next step then? Okay? With the add-on, what we ask at the very end is we say, well, are there any other logical steps we should be thinking about or we should be talking about right now? Okay? Some version of that. So, again, just to get it ingrained in your psyche, let's walk through this. Does it make sense for us to X? They say, yeah, that's a good idea. Awesome. Well, other clients at this stage will sometimes also do Y. Does it make sense for us to do that too? Okay, if they say yes, awesome, then we ask our third one, right? Say, okay, well, clients at this stage sometimes also do Z. Does it make sense to do that? And if they say yes, and then we run out of advances, or they say no, then we just ask that last question. Okay, well, are there any other logical steps we should be considering right now? Okay, do you see how facilitative it is? What's so important about that is this key right here, is that we're just matching the customer's buying cycle, regardless of whether we're slowing it down or whether we're speeding it up. We're just going at the pace that they're ready for, right? We're matching their buying cycle. Okay, so let me share a story with you. So I'm in the healthcare space. We do healthcare IT. I'm still a working Joe just like you. I do not run around the world speaking on every weekend. That's not my life. Okay, I have a sales team and I manage it. So I'm a working Joe just like you all are. Okay, so me and my team were in Sierra Vista at a healthcare outfit there, and we didn't feel like we were presenting to the right people. We were presenting to a CIO and his team, and we really felt like we wanted to have our presentation given to the CEO, right, and his executives. And so our goal there, our ideal advance in this case, was just to demo it to this other group. So we do the presentation, it goes great, it comes time for us to ask for the advance, and I go, hey, does it make sense for us to schedule a demo for your other team, for the rest of your team, so that we can get their input and feedback? Does that make sense? And he says, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm like, all right, cha-ching. So I asked my second advance. Second advance is, very often groups at this stage will want to have our technical teams talk to each other around the details of the conversion to see what's possible. Does it make sense for us to schedule our technical teams to talk to each other? Guy says, yes, my team is totally worried about that. Would love to do that. Cha-ching, got another one. Okay, so I asked him the third one. The third one, advance, is this. I said, well, I think we've got everything we need here in order to craft a rough proposal, right? So that you can see what the scope of the project looks like. Does it make sense for us to put together a draft proposal for you? He goes, that would be awesome. I'm like, wow, cha-ching, 3 out of 3, right? So I asked him the last question. I said, well, are there any other actions or things we should be thinking about? Any other steps we should be talking about? And you'll never believe what this guy says. This guy says, well, could I get a copy of your legal agreement? Because our legal team's kind of slow. And I'm like, inside, I'm going like, Are you kidding? Absolutely I can send you a contract, right? Absolutely I can send you a contract. And here is the thing, we didn't even think we were presenting to the right people. We didn't even think we were presenting to the right people. We had no idea that it would be a realistic expectation to set giving them a contract as part of it. In fact, I would just submit this to you. Imagine I went in there and my very first thing I said, well, sir, would you like a contract, right? Or even though I did it nicely, no, does it make sense for us to get you a contract, right? It wouldn't have flown. I don't think it would have flown, right? But it was because we were pacing this guy. It's because every time we asked him, does it make sense? Does it make sense? Yes. I go, well, what do you think's next step? This guy's all ready to roll. He's just got all this momentum. And he goes, well, I think we're going to need a contract because this is clearly the thing for us, right? So that's the thing. This is obviously the coolest variation, right, of all the variations, because in a smooth and Zen-like way, you just keep piling on advances until we get to the pace that the customer is ready for. Cool, huh? Cool. All right. So I promised to keep this to 20 minutes. Right? I promised to keep this to 20 minutes, and I also promised to tell you about both skill and will. You just learned skill. You just learned the best practice in closing sales, hands down, right? No confrontation, no pressure, facilitative, value add for the customer. You walk out of there, they love you because you are a trusted advisor. You're not trying to pressure them into anything. You just learned that. And that's a big factor in the motivation part, actually, because now we can ask the question without worrying that it's going to hurt the relationship in any way. You all with me on that? Okay, so let's talk about motivation. Now there are, in fact, 3 keys to long-lasting, sustained motivation when it comes to selling. In the time we have left, I'm going to give you the most important one, okay? The most important one. This is Kaiba Gianfrido. Kaiba Gianfrido was born with a tracheal defect. At about 6 weeks, he just would stop breathing. He would just stop breathing, and it was happening about every day. His parents were having to conduct CPR on him almost every day. It would happen in the car. It would happen at home, right? It would happen at a restaurant. And you can only imagine what that would be like as a parent. Do you think that they got any sleep? Do you think that they got any sleep, right? And what about poor Kaiba, right? Helplessly struggling for air. No doctor could help them with this. And so they just basically expected that he was not going to live long, okay? Eventually, they made it to this guy, Dr. Glenn Green, out at University of Michigan, C.S. Mott's Children's Hospital. And Dr. Green had been piloting this new technology that would allow them to create a 3D printed biodegradable splint that might fit on his trachea, right? And that would maybe save his life. Right? But it was new technology. It was not FDA approved, okay? In fact, this is what it looks like right here, just this little thing, just that little teeny thing. This is a printout of his trachea, and this shows you where it would go on his trachea when they printed this. So Dr. Green had to use a special provision out at the FDA to get permission to do this procedure and use this splint on Kaiba, okay? So we got approval, he did the procedure, and that procedure and the splint saved Kaiba's life. It saved Kaiba's life. And here you can see this cute picture, right? Now this is an emotional story, right? It's when we hear a story like this, we think, man, that is so awesome that people are willing to go to those lengths to save a child's life, right? And we're caught up in the goodness of it. I mean, when we hear stories like this, we love to count ourselves as part of humanity, right? We say, if I could save a life that way, I would absolutely save a life that way, don't we? Right? Did you know there was a sale here? The CT and the MRI scans that make that 3D printing possible, they cost money. Okay? The lasers, the 3D printers, the biodegradable materials that they actually use to create this splint, all cost money. They're required as well. Okay? This is the guy that made that sale. His name's Scott Hollister. Okay? Now, we don't hear too much about the selling part of these stories, do we? It takes away from the coolness or the magic of the story, doesn't it? But there are thousands of stories just like this one, right? So I have a question for you. Why is it that we don't see this sale the same way we see other sales, right? Sales as a whole and as an industry kind of has this bad reputation. Yet we don't feel anything like that when we hear this story. We're grateful that there was a sales guy in this kind of a story, right? So why is that? And the answer is, we can more clearly see the effects on people's lives, right? If there was not sales to produce money, this 3D medical printed splint would have never been created, and a child's life would have been lost. Kaiba's life would have been lost. And so these dramatic stories help us illustrate what sales really is. Selling is an act of service. Selling is serving. Now, not every solution out there has the same lofty goals, right? Some solutions out there help feed the hungry, and some help people with medicines, and some help people communicate or travel over great distances. And a whole ton of solutions actually just take workload and hard things off of people's plates so they can focus on higher value things, like family or work or whatever they value the most, right? But in every case, what our solution does is it helps take someone from where they are to where they want to be. It helps a real person address their goals. Are you with me on that? Is it making sense? So helping a customer move towards their goal is an act of service. We shouldn't hesitate at all, right? In fact, we should move towards it. It should be easy. Easy in the same way that we say, if I could save a life that way, I would do it without hesitation. Okay. Now I want you to remember that, because sometimes in sales we get caught up in paperwork. We get caught up in all the minutiae, and we stop remembering that we're actually trying to help a person achieve their goals. Okay? And sales is hard sometimes, but what I can tell you is it is 100% noble and 100% satisfying if you make it that way. And when we help other customers achieve their goals, our lives and their lives are elevated in a virtuous cycle. And there should be no hesitation in that. In fact, it's motivating in its own right. Now, I have given you absolutely everything that I can in the 20 minutes that you gave me. And hopefully that I struck a chord here, and this is interesting to you, because I want you all to be successful. If you'd like, if this is interesting to you, then I have a whole ton of free resources. You can just download them. Just go to pyramid.com resources, and there's agendas, and there's planning forms, and of course, all 5 of the perfect close models are there, all for you to download for free, right? All for free. Okay? I do have some books here, and I'm happy to autograph those if you want. And just to support the this Professional Business Connections Summit, I'm also going to give you a keynote, a 90-minute keynote, if you get the book today. So there's just one last thought that I want to leave you with, and that is this. Selling is serving, which you talked about. High-performing group people pay it forward. If you are earning $75,000 a year, then you are in the top 7% of earners in the entire world. $75,000 a year is actually 11 times more than the average human being on this planet earns right now. And odds are pretty good that every one of you in this room earns more than that, so it's probably even higher. And I want you to be successful, and as you apply these things that you've learned, you're going to be successful. So I just want to remind you that sales leaders pay it forward. So remember to as you do these things, remember to give back. Thank you so much. You're not alive anymore.
You're not live anymore? Oh my God, let's try this one more time. I hit the button. Check, check, check.
I can give you
Thank
mine.
you so much, James. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, James is very humble. He's actually the CEO of Best Practices International. Now, this guy has spoke to and sold to some pretty big names in the healthcare and technology industry, and I'm just so honored that you could be here.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Tonight.
Actually.
I mean, talking about serving
It's my
the
hometown.
community
It's
as
my
sales
hometown.
professional.
Just had to come across it.
And, you know, we always have fun. We had so much fun last year in Atlanta, so I'm so honored that you could be here tonight. Now, James, you know, it is an act of service in sales, kind of like marketing. You know, how do we serve our fellow BNI members, the people, our influence, our circle of influence? And it's just, you know, how do you serve? How do you serve your community? How do you serve the people that follow you? I mean, this is what it's all about, and I'm just so grateful that you could share that message. One of the things, we're about to go into our next presentation. We're going to have a special message from Dr. Ivan Meisner, and also bring up my good friend Cody Bateman. Wait till you hear Cody. He has an amazing message tonight. But we talked a lot about referrals back from your presentation. So why don't you talk a little bit about your referrals and some of that training that you did, and then we'll bring Cody up, because this is fascinating.
Yeah, I'll tell you an interesting thing. So I highly recommend that you guys, if you're not part of BNI, you should be part of BNI. And an interesting thing happened to me. So I'm from the corporate world, right? And in the corporate world, marketing is, are anybody here from the corporate world like me, right? You like love that life? Okay, well, just count yourself lucky if you're not in the corporate world, okay? So, but in the corporate world, marketing and sales don't always see eye to eye, right? They don't always see eye to eye. And so I got myself, as a VP of sales, I got myself wrapped up in this issue where marketing was saying, well, our leads are coming from here and our leads are coming from there. And my own team was saying, no, that is not where those leads are coming from. And there's a word for that in the marketing world. It's called attribution. That is, how do you figure out where the lead really came from, right? So anyway, I got all wrapped up in this, and it was a big debate. And so I had one of my team members contact every person that came in for a quarter, for a 3-month window. And that was about 1,000. It was like 980-something opportunities or leads that came in. And so what we did is we asked a magic question. And that magic question was, because what would happen is marketing would say, oh, well, these people came in from the website, right? Or these people came in off of AdWords, or they would say whatever, right? And so what my person would ask is this: what made you go to the web to begin with? If they said they came from the website, they'd say, hey, well, what made you go to the website to begin with? Or what made you click on that? Or what made you call us, right? And here's what we found out. And this is mind-blowing. It took us a while to get all this data, and I just blew their pants off when I gave them this. So at least for those 980 whatever, 74% of them, 74% had come from a person that referred them to us. So it would be like me saying, hey, Bart, have you ever heard of NextGen? Or I'd say, I'm shopping for a such and such system. And Bart goes, oh, you got to check out this. You got to check out this one, okay? That's what was happening. And so because we weren't tracking that part of it, of course, everybody thinks that they're just coming straight off the website. But in reality, what was happening is 74% of these leads were actually coming in from referrals, okay? So from my perspective, 74% of all leads, regardless of the source, are actually coming from referrals. And I'm not crazy. There are 2 other sources. BNI has some data on this as well. But the New York Times also published an article that showed that theirs was a little lower. 70% of all opportunities are coming from referrals. So if you ask me what's your best lead channel, what I would tell you is that referrals are hands down. They convert so much higher. They convert 400 to 500 times higher than any other kind of lead. So it is easily the most underutilized, high-impact channel that you could possibly use in your business. So I don't think I could say it any stronger than that.
Thank you, James. James Jr., everybody.
Thank you. Yeah. Yep. I'll take it off.
I just need the clicker. Is that our clicker? Okay, cool. Oh no, you can take that off later. Let me see the clicker. Okay, I got the clicker. Oh my gosh. Referrals are strong. That's our lifeblood of our business, especially within BNI. I know that I have been on 100% referrals for years and years, based on BNI, based on building relationships. Because who do people do business with and refer others to? People they know, like, and trust. And whenever I do move into a new city, there's a reason I get connected with BNI, because I create a team, a family of people that know, like, and trust me, that refer me to people they do business with. So with that being said, I want to, we have a little special message before we bring up our next speaker, which is this founder and chief visionary officer of Send Out Cars, Mr. Cody Bateman, who I've had the pleasure to work with for the past 12 years. And I credit so much of everything I've done and a lot of my success based on his teachings of everything that you're going to hear from tonight, and everything that he does. And I really appreciate him a lot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let Dr. Ivan Meisner introduce our next guest, Mr. Cody Bateman.
Hi, this is Dr. Ivan Meisner, founder of BNI, and this is a special message for those of you attending the Professional Business Connections Summit. You're in for a real treat today. Your keynote speaker is Cody Bateman, and Cody is the real deal. Cody is one of the people that I know in the world who absolutely walks the talk. He has a fantastic organization, Send Out Cards. BNI has had a strong relationship with Send Out Cards for decades, and he's a great speaker with an incredible message that really integrates, I think, extremely well with the BNI organization. You know, BNI's vision statement is to change the way the world does business. That's a pretty big vision. But how do we do that? Well, we do that with this philosophy that I think integrates great with what Cody teaches, and that is about building relationships and giving to people. Our principal core value is giver's gain. The idea that if I help you, you'll help me, and we'll all do better as a result of it. When I started BNI almost 34 years ago, that was unheard of. Networking was all about being very transactional. What can you give me before I help you? It was, what's in it for me? And I am really pleased to see that BNI has helped to change the way the world is doing business by focusing on this concept of giver's gain. This idea that if I help you, we'll all help each other. I believe that BNI is not only a great way to get business, it's an even better way to do business, because it's doing business within this core value of the organization. And what I love about our relationship with Send Out Cards and Cody is that he has a very similar concept of how to do business. I think you're going to really enjoy him today. I know I have enjoyed listening to his story several times, and it's always amazing to hear again. I always pick up some great nuggets. Let me leave you with this one last thought. I think one of the most important things I've learned in the last 34 years is that it's not just what you know or who you know. You know, the old concept is it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's not what you know or who you know, it's how well you know each other that really counts. It's about going deep and building long-term relationships with people that will help you build a powerful personal network. I hope you have a great day today. I know you're going to hear some fantastic information. This is Ivan Meisner, founder of BNI.
I always know what kind of audience I have based on how you respond to the walk-on music. So we got to work on you guys a little bit. We need to work on you a little bit. I know there's been some technical difficulty go on here tonight, but we like to have a lot of fun. So we just, life is about having fun. Life's about making a decision that you're going to be happy every single day and that you're going to have fun doing it. So yeah, we do some crazy stuff. We have some crazy walk-on music. We have lots of fun in the things that we do. I'm going to share some things with you tonight that hopefully will help you. And, I've had some life-altering experiences that have taken place that have guided me over the years to do some of the things that I've done. Today, I own a company called Send Out Cards, and this was not planned, but in the course of 14 years, Send Out Cards has become the premier relationship marketing system in the world today. It's the #1 tangible touch relationship marketing follow-up system in the world. What's a tangible touch? A tangible touch is something real, a greeting card and a gift that shows up in the mail as a thank you or an appreciation, a follow-up to doing business with people, okay? Over the course of 14 years, that service has sent over 175 million cards and 12 million gifts around the world. It's generated millions and millions of referrals and over several $1 billion worth of sales for those who've done the follow-up. Now, why do I share that with you? I share that with you because in the course of that, we have learned what relationship marketing really is. We've learned how to do it. We've learned that relationship marketing is about the first word, not the second. See, when you hear the term relationship marketing, most of you think, okay, marketing, cool, marketing. What's relationship marketing? I need to learn about this marketing thing so I can learn how to get more business. And I go all over the world trying to teach people that that's not the word you want to focus on. The word to focus on is the first word, relationship. Relationships are everything. If you take care of the relationship, then the marketing side of it takes care of itself. Now, if you properly follow up with your customers and clients, if you appreciate them, they will appreciate you. What you send out is what comes back to you. So if somebody buys a product from you and you send them a genuine thank you card in the mail, maybe attach a gift to it. Maybe put a picture of them on it with a heartfelt message on the inside just to say thank you. Not to promote your business, not to ask for a referral, not to do anything. Just say thank you. Capture their birthday, and when the time comes, a reminder system will tell you to send them a birthday card, and just send them a birthday card. Don't ask for a referral, don't do anything like that, just send a birthday card. When the holiday season comes, have a system that automatically sends a real greeting card saying happy holidays. Don't ask for anything, just say, I'm thinking about you during Christmas time. These are the kind of things. Now, this seems very simple, right? Well, it is. The most powerful touch that you can send to a customer or client that will generate a referral is a thank you card. That's the most powerful touch you can send. How many people in sales do you think send real, tangible thank you cards? Any idea? 5%? It's less. 3%. On average, 3% of people send a real greeting card saying thank you, yet it's by far the most powerful touch you can send to a client or to a customer that will generate referral business. I can sit down right now. It's over. It's done. That's all you got to remember is find a way to send that thank you card out, but there's a lot of other things you can do as well. Now, I got to tell you, I'd like to say that this was a genius idea of mine to create this relationship marketing system with real greeting cards and gifts. But that is not why I started the company at all. It was not my intent to become the premier relationship marketing company. Not at all. I started the company for one reason. One reason. And I want to share with you the story, because the story will tell you why I started the company. In 1989, I graduated from BYU, and I was offered a job to work at a large advertising agency in New York City. I accepted that offer, and I was newly married at the time, had a little baby girl who was 18 months old, and it came time for us to move away from Utah. I live here in Salt Lake. Came time for us to move away from Salt Lake all the way across the country to go to work for the ad agency. So we went over to my mom and dad's house to say bye to our family. We said our goodbyes and we went out and we got in the car. And I remember we had a big U-Haul truck that was following us behind with all of our belongings. We were going to move all the way across the country. As I went to get in my car, my wife Jody got in the passenger side. We put little baby Whitney in the back seat. I went to get in the driver's seat, and I looked over, and a lot adjacent to my parents' home, my older brother Chris was moving some vehicles around in this lot. At that moment, I had what I call a prompting, a thought, intuitive thought, strong thought, that I needed to slow down, stop what I was doing, go over to my brother, give him a hug, tell him I love him, and say goodbye. At the time, we weren't a huggy kind of family. We didn't hug each other back then. So it was a weird thought for me. And I ignored the prompting, and I got in the car and I drove away. I honked the horn and waved at Brother Chris, and he waved back, and we moved away. We landed in New Jersey. We got moved in. 3 months went by. Everything's going well, and all of a sudden the phone rings at 2 o'clock in the morning. my mother was on the line, and she tearfully let me know that my brother Chris had just been killed in an accident. When I got that news, what do you suppose I thought of? The only thing I could think of when I got that news, I instantly remembered the prompting. Instantly. And now I understood why the prompting said to go over and give him a hug and tell him I love him and say goodbye. See, I didn't know that that would be the last time I ever saw him. So that night when I got that news, it transformed my life. I made a promise to my brother Chris that night that when I received a prompting to reach out in kindness to another human being, I would do it. I would act. And I would try to do all I could to help as many people as I could do the same thing. So I started a company, and it took a long time because this was way back in 1989. We didn't have technology back then like we do today. So it took a long time in the making. But there's only one reason that I started the company Send Out Cards. It was to help myself and others to act on your promptings, to reach out in kindness to other people. And I started teaching seminars, not about relationship marketing. I taught seminars about acting on promptings, to reach out in kindness. And people started to catch on. They started to use the system. They started acting on promptings, and a lot of people saw the value of that in their business, so they started doing it in their business. They'd have a prompting, they really appreciated the fact that somebody bought a product or service from them, so they would follow up and say thank you. And we would teach them that when you say thank you, just say thank you. Don't ask for a referral. Deserve it. You treat people with kindness, they'll move to the end of the world for you. So that's why I started the business, and over the years it transformed into this relationship marketing system, and now we leverage what the marketplace wants from us, which is a relationship marketing system, a way to follow up with your clients and customers. We inspire you on what you need from us, which is a way to act on your promptings, to be nice to other human beings. So that's kind of the story of what we do here. And I'm going to share a couple of things with you. I wasn't planning on holding this. I don't know if it works. I like to use my, let's see if I can just throw this in here. How's that? Hope you don't mind this flipping around there. So I want to share a couple of things with you. So, we went through a lot of things to develop a system to help people act on their promptings. And I remember, I'm going to give you the short version of that tonight, but we finally got to where we could use the internet to initiate a thought, initiate a response, and have it transfer over the internet to a digital printer that would print a message that we typed over the internet. Now, that sounds pretty simple today, right? Well, this was in, 2000. This is in 1998, 99, 2000. We were developing the technology to do it. I didn't have that technology back then. So we pioneered the technology so that through internet protocol, you could actually send a message, a picture and a message over the internet and have a printer print it. So we went through that process. And I remember when I first started Send Out Cards, we grassroots built it. I didn't have millions of dollars to start this thing with. We just needed to get some customers. I didn't have I didn't have a lot of the things that you see in Send Out Cards today. I didn't have a card catalog with over 30,000 cards in it like we do now. I didn't have any of that. But what I did have is the ability for you to be able to send a message with a pre-saved card in it so that you could send it out to somebody, so that our company would send it out for you. So what we did is we went out and we started calling on businesses. Now keep in mind, I did this to help people act on their promptings, but it wasn't quite ready for individual use. So what I did is I went out and I had several people join me in this effort, and we went out and we started calling on businesses, and we were selling them follow-up systems that used our program. As an example, I'm into motorsports. I love motorsports. Anything with a motor, that's me. And my network of people happens to be in the motorsports business. So back then in 2001, 2002, I started calling on car dealerships, Harley-Davidson dealerships, dirt bike dealerships, boat dealerships. In fact, we did a lot with Malibu Boats and several different boat manufacturing companies. So we'd go call on a boat dealership, and we would set up a 5-touch card, a greeting card campaign for a boat dealership. In this case, Malibu Boats, okay? So if somebody came in and bought a new boat, we would have a system that when they bought the boat, all they had to do is put in a name and an address, and we would pre-build a 5-touch campaign that would go out to that customer thanking them for buying the boat. So they'd get a thank you card, a birthday card, a holiday card, a keep in touch card, and an anniversary of the date they purchased the boat card. All just with the intent of staying top of mind with their customers. Is that a service that you think would be valuable? Is that something that you think would generate referral business for the boat dealers? They loved the service. Now, we were just calling on one dealership at a time, grassroots building. It was a slow build. It would take us about 30 days to set an account up because there's a lot of customization. But we probably did maybe 5 or 6 boat dealerships, 2 or 3 motorcycle dealerships. We probably had maybe 12 to 14 clients, each of them doing $300 or $400 a month worth of business with us. And I'm living on that. 2001, 2002, right? So while that was going on, I get this phone call out of the blue. I get this phone call, and this lady who said, "My name is Lisa Farmer. I am the corporate vice president at Malibu Corporate in Malibu, California. Are you the guy that does that follow-up thing for some of our Malibu dealers?" I said, "Yes, I am." She says, "Well, I would like you to come down to Malibu, our Malibu convention in Cancun, Mexico, and I'd like you to get up on the stage and do a presentation to 250 Malibu boat dealers and teach them your system, because we'd love everybody to use your system. And by the way, we'll pay for you to come down, all expenses paid. Would you be willing to do that?" Now, as a young, starving entrepreneur, do you think I was pretty excited for that phone call? Very excited for the phone call. Great opportunity. So what did I do? I went down to Cancun. I had this canned presentation all put together, all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. And I explained the 5-touch campaign like I just explained to you. I explained to them how they could do it. Beautiful PowerPoint presentation. And when I got done, I taught them the system, our follow-up system. So when I got done, I said, "Hey, come on back to the back. I got a booth back there. If you're interested, we can help you get started." Now, we were marginally successful. We probably had 7 or 8 boat dealerships come back and actually sign up for the service. So it was mildly successful. We did pretty well, okay? Well, I thought we did pretty well. So anyway, a whole year goes by. We're out doing our stuff, calling on a bunch of people, and I get a call the next year from the same lady, Lisa Farmer. She says, "Will you come back and do it again? This time we're in Austin, Texas, 2002. Will you come back and do it again?" I said, "Sure, I'd be happy to." So I get down there, we go to get up on the stage, and I pretty much had the same presentation. Changed a little bit because we had some new technologies, but pretty much the same thing. So as I was walking up on the stage, I had a prompting. And the prompting said to me, "You're not going to give your presentation." You see, that very day, it was my 15-year-old daughter's birthday. And that was weighing heavy on me because for the first time in my life, I was away from home on one of my children's birthdays. Birthdays are a big deal in our home, so everybody's there on birthdays. First time I'd ever missed a birthday. So it was weighing heavy on me. And as I was walking up, it's all I could think of. I couldn't even think of the presentation. I was thinking about my daughter, and it was her birthday. So I got up there, and I decided that I was going to do something different. And I told them, I said, "Hey, I'm the follow-up guy. You can follow up with people when they buy a boat, whatever. I was here last year, half. I said, "How many of you saw me last year?" About half of them raised their hand. I says, well, I got this presentation for you, but I'm not going to give it today, you see, because today's my daughter's birthday. It's her 15th birthday, and I'm here, and I love all you boat dealers. You're great, but I would rather be home with my daughter. So I'm going to have all of you boat dealers help me send my daughter a birthday card. So what I did is I put up a picture. Let's see if this will work here. Where's Dave at? Did that work? Is it turned off? You want to just run it for me? So when I go click, you just push the button. How's that? There you go. So I put this picture up on the screen, just like that. That was my daughter. She was on her high school drill team, Riverton High School. She was on our high school drill team at the time, and I put this picture up. I says, okay, all you Malibu boat dealers, I want you to help me with the message I'm going to send my daughter. So all these people started yelling to me what I should say to my daughter on her birthday in this card. It was mayhem. There was all kinds of messages going on. I learned a valuable lesson that when you send a heartfelt message to somebody, you do not write a card by committee. It doesn't work that way. It's got to come from your own heart. So I finally said to them, look, okay, I've heard enough. I'm going to go ahead and type in a message. So we click the next one there. And here's the message that I wrote. And I did this right in front of the whole group. I said, Dear Whitney, I am sending you this card from Austin, Texas, in front of 200 Malibu boat dealers. I'm feeling bad that I'm not home for your birthday. So from me and all of these dealers, we wish you a happy birthday. Love you, sweetheart, your dad. Did you hear the little O's? I get the little O's everywhere I tell this story. I got the O's with those dealers. They're like, oh. Now let me tell you something. When the audience feels that emotion, it's time to stop. I didn't need to do any more presentations. You know what I did? Once I was done with that, and I had that up there showing it to them, all I did was said this, look, I'm done talking to you today. Here's the deal. When people come in and buy a boat from you, they're buying a tool to create memories with their family. So if you are interested in helping them feel the same way from you when they buy a boat from you, that my daughter's going to feel when she gets this birthday card, come on back to the booth and see me. What do you think happened? What happened? It was mayhem. Like everybody came back. The first year I signed up 6 or 7 dealerships. The next year I didn't have enough people to help out. Like there was lines going up and down. People were getting upset because it took too long to work with everybody. We ended up dealing with 35 to 40 dealerships that we closed that year. Now, what was the difference between the second year and the first year? There was a story, but there was the heart. See, the first year I taught the system. The second year I taught the heart. The first year I taught about marketing. The second year I taught about relationship. You see the difference? And that's how we got things started to build this company called Send Out Cards. Now, since then, like I said, hundreds of millions of cards like this have gone out. People sending genuine appreciation. Let me share a couple of them with you. We have a user, one of our users, one of our customers. She's also a rep with Send Out Cards. She's in the real estate business. She's in real estate. One of the things she does is she goes to networking events. So she went to this Chamber of Commerce networking event, and they were having a cook-off. There were like 20 catering companies there doing a cook-off contest, and this guy right here won the cook-off. Now, this lady, the real estate agent, her name is Gail Zintek. She did not know this guy at all. But what she did is she took a picture of him, grabbed his business card, and went home and sent him a greeting card. She put the picture on the front of the greeting card and said, congratulations. And then she typed a little message on the inside. Your food rocked the house at the Taste of Chamber. No better ribs, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks for sharing your goodness. We enjoyed every bite. Live today. Enjoy life. Steve and Gail Zintek, the network team at the name of her company with a phone number. That's all she did. Did she ask him for real estate business? Did she put in there, hey, if you ever need a realtor, let me know? Is that in there? All she did was celebrate this guy. That's it. Now notice she put a little subtlety in there. She let him know who she was and that she was in real estate, but she didn't ask for any real estate business. She just said, my name is Stephen Gelzintek, our names, and here's our phone number. We're in the real estate business. That's it. So several months went by out of the blue. They get a call one day from this guy. His name's Kiar. Kiara said, hey, listen, you sent me a congratulations card at the Taste of Chamber thing. Really appreciate it so much. Thank you for doing that. And I noticed that you're in real estate. By the way, where did he get her phone number? In the card. Why do you suppose he still had the card? Now, if he would have gotten her business card, where would the business card be? Be in a drawer or in a garbage can. But he got a greeting card that celebrated him. Do you want to know where that card was? It was on his fridge. No joke. Several months go by. You think that she was top of mind? So that's exactly what happened. It is finally he had a need for a real estate service, so who's he going to call? Calls her up. Here's long story short. They created a relationship. They ended up finding a home for him to buy, and he ended up becoming a referral magnet for her. In the course of the next 5 years, Kiar has a very large family, a large network of friends. Over the course of the next 5 years, he referred 9 transactions to Stephen Gelzintek, 9 home sales that generated over $70,000 in commissions off of one greeting card that they sent to them. So do you think that's effective? Let me share another fun one with you. So this guy is up Port Albany, I don't know, up somewhere, up Vancouver, up there where all these big trees are. He's a lumberjack. I mean, this guy is a big, burly lumberjack guy, and he goes up and he does a tree service. They have tall trees up there in British Columbia. So he's up there and he does trees, he trims trees high up in the air. And so what he does is he figured, you know what? I am able to look down at people's property that's probably from an angle that they've never seen their property before. So I'm going to take pictures of them and thank them for their business. They might appreciate getting a card like that. Would it be cool for you to get a picture of your house from that angle? Would that be kind of cool? No? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody said, no, I'm ready to fight. Let's go. All right. So that's what he started doing. So let me just give you an example here. The most beautiful house on the street. Gordon and Kareen, thank you so much for the tree work today. It was a pleasure working on such a beautiful tree. Your place is absolutely amazing. Wish you the most abundant year ever. Your friend Dave. Boom, sends him the card. That's all he started doing. In the course of 2 years, that's what he would do. It became his only source of marketing. What was he doing? Was he focusing on marketing? No, he's focusing on creating relationship. His business tripled in size in the course of 2 years. He now has offers from large tree services to purchase his company because of the type of clientele he has, all because he does something as simple as that. Relationships are everything. When you appreciate people, everything appreciates for you. Okay? I'm going to share with you a little something here real quick. If you want to master relationship marketing, you need to create a mindset for mastering it. Now I'm going to put this little quote up on the board. If you have your smartphones, you can take a picture of it, because I think this is a valuable message. Here's the mindset. The world and the people in it owe you nothing. But you owe it to yourself to give the world and the people in it everything. So find out who you are and then give yourself away. That's it. That's it. You want to master relationship marketing? That's the mindset. I'm going to tell you a story now that's going to blow your mind. Here's a guy, some of you know who he is. This guy is a master at relationship marketing. He lives that mindset. He realizes that he needs to just give the best version of himself away to people, be of service to people every single day of his life. He's a master at it. He teaches it all over the world. He's helped thousands and thousands of people generate lots of business as a result of this strategy. Relationship first, marketing takes care of itself. Okay, so he sends cards and gifts like you wouldn't believe. Over 70,000 heartfelt individual greeting cards over 14 years he has sent to customers, clients, prospects, friends. He's generated multi-million-dollar businesses as a result. So something interesting happened. He has a big following. He's got about 40,000 people that follow him on Facebook and all this kind of stuff. And out of the blue, and this was several years ago, out of the blue, there was a post that was put on there by an internet marketer. There was an internet marketer that put a post out there, and he did the search engine optimization thing, and the post said, Jordan Adler is a scam. Y'all know internet marketers that do this kind of stuff? Jordan Adler is a scam. If I were you, I would stay far away from him. Don't do business with Jordan Adler. Now, why would an internet marketer do that? He didn't know who this guy was at all. But because he had a big following, there was this tactic that was a way to generate traffic onto this guy's site. Does that make sense? So that's what the guy was doing. Do you think that made Jordan mad? Would it make you mad? Would you like to search your name and get Jordan Adler's a scam? That wouldn't make you very happy. So he wasn't happy. So he contacted his attorney and said, hey, this is what's going on. What can we do about it? The attorney says, pay me $250. I'll write up a letter, and we'll tell him to take it down. We'll threaten him to take it down. He needs to take it down. That didn't set real well with Jordan, and he came to an event where I was at, and Super Dave Smith, who's right here, Dave Smith is here with me. He goes to all events with me. He was there as well, and Jordan tells us this story. He says, this is what happened. What do you think I should do? And Dave looks right at him and says, well, dude, really? Just send the guy a card. Just send him a card. So that's what he did. He says, well, yeah, I guess I'll send him a card. So he doesn't know this guy. His name's Jason Isaacson. He doesn't know him. So he sends him this card. He puts a picture of himself on the front. He said, Jason, what the heck are you doing? And then in the message, it just said something like, hey, listen, I understand why you're doing what you're doing. It brings traffic to your site. As far as creating traffic goes, it's probably ingenious. But could you stop, please? Because I don't really like that. I don't appreciate that happening with my deal. But either way, just want you to know that, I wish you well. It was nothing but nice. And then he followed it up with another card. So he sent that card one day, and the very next day he sent this card. And this card had a Starbucks card inside of it. It was like a $10 Starbucks card inside of it. So he said, the road to success is paved in coffee. And in there, he told my story. He said, the founder of the company that I used to send these greeting cards out, this is what happened to him. And he told my story about the promptings with my brother Chris and all that. That's what was in here. And then at the end, he just said, I've learned that when you send kindness to others, kindness comes back to you. I wish you well. And his name, Jordan. So about a week later, he goes back on this guy's website. What do you think the post said? He took down the original post. He put up a new post that said, Jordan Adler is the most brilliant marketer in the world. If I were you, I would do business with him. Holy cow. Now, what do you think that the legal letter would have done? Probably just would have fueled the fire more for him, wouldn't it? Now, the story doesn't stop there, because life went on and everything else. And Jordan one day was up on a stage and he was telling this story. One of our reps in send-out cards was in the audience listening to this story. And he gets on his phone and he looks up Jason Isaacson. And on the break, he goes out and he calls on the phone Jason Isaacson. He just calls him up. He says, hey, do you remember this guy named Jordan Adler? And Jason said, yeah. He said, do you know what he does? And he said, no. He says, well, if you have 10 minutes, let me show you. So this guy showed Jason Isaacson our card system and how it works. Jason got excited. He signed up for the service. He became what we call a referral partner and started signing other people up on the service. Within weeks, as a brilliant internet marketer, he became the #1 recruiter in send out cards, generated a business of over 4,500 customers in his organization, of which Jordan Adler received an override commission on. Jordan Adler could pay all of his bills off of the business that this guy generated for him, all because of one card. You can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. If you just take care of relationships, treat people the way that you'd want to be treated. Very, very simple stuff. Okay, now, I want to share a little bit with you. The concept that we're talking about is we want to teach the philosophy that you want to send out positivity to people for the sake of giving to them. Send to give. In your business, you want to give to people. Give for the sake of giving. Provide an invaluable service. Don't worry about the close. Okay? Just provide impeccable service. Now, there does come a time that you do want to close, and I highly recommend this presentation earlier today. That was phenomenal stuff, my friend. That was really good. But you notice the way James, right? You notice the way that James teaches the close. It's not some hard sell. It's not everything like that. Would it make sense? Is that a respectful thing to say to somebody that you want to create relationship with?
Yeah, you're asking permission.
You're asking permission. Would it make sense? It's beautiful. That is a relationship marketing way to close a sale. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Now, B&I is very similar to our philosophy, and that's one of the reasons we created an alignment with them years and years ago. It's been a wonderful relationship that our companies have. We teach the philosophy that you should send out to give. The first thing I learned about B&I is they have a philosophy that says givers gain. You go to a networking event not to get referrals. You go to a networking event to give referrals. The first time I heard that, I was like, duh, that's brilliant. So their whole reason for their success is right here. It's all about givers gain. One of the things I love about B&I, and like I say, if you're not a member of B&I, boy, for that reason alone, you want to do that. Second reason is B&Is are tangible. Send out cards is a tangible way to follow up with somebody. They receive a real greeting card that somebody can touch it, feel it, smell it. And you can even send a box of brownies with it so they can even taste it. A lot different than a digital form of communication, isn't it? Tangible is really important. Hang on one sec, Dave, getting ahead of me there. So the tangible touch is important. And what I love about B&I is it's tangible. Once a week, you go to an event. You get belly to belly and face to face, good old-fashioned networking with people every day. It's tangible. And we live in a world today where we need more of that tangible touch. Does that make sense? Do you agree? Yes. Okay. Third one, it's educational. B&I is very educational. They educate people on the power of referrals and on the power of relationships. Very important. The fourth one is it delivers results. B&I delivers massive results. Send out cards is a system that delivers massive results. B&I's got like 8,200 plus chapters worldwide. Last year alone, they generated 9.5 million referrals for its members. generating over $13.8 billion in sales. Is that results? So is that something that you want to be involved with? Listen, B&I isn't some place you just go and hang out and sing lolly jolly stuff every once a week. I mean, it's a place you go and you get results because you're there to give to other people. And the final one is it aligns with our message at Send Out Cards. So in closing, I just want to share with you this. We can go on to the next one here. I've got a new book out titled The Power of Human Connection. Okay, got a copy of it right here. And this was just released very recently. It's available on Amazon. Y'all think I'm going to try to sell you a book now. I want you to relax because I'm not going to try to sell you a book. But I want to share with you why the book. The book was developed to tell stories. There's countless stories in here like the ones I told you tonight. Teaching about the power of creating relationships. Now look at the headline and then the subheadline. What I told you when I first started here is we're going to leverage what the marketplace wants from our service. What do they want from our service in that headline? They want the subheading. How relationship marketing is transforming the way people succeed. That's what pulls people in. So we're going to leverage what you want by that subheadline. But then we're going to inspire you on what you need. What do you need that's on the front of that book? You need to learn the power of human connection. And there's powerful stories in this book about that. Now, my time is spent. And normally this is when you go and you say, you know, you can go to Amazon, you can buy the book, and you can do this and that and the other. But here's what I'm going to do. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I appreciate the fact that you're putting an effort into whatever business you're in to come and better yourself and your business. It means a lot to me to see you do that because you have things that you can offer the marketplace. Do you know that there's things in this life that only you can do? There's genius that only you have. And you have an opportunity in your business to give that away. Your business is the number one way for you to go out and to reach people, whatever business it is. It's the highest place where you have interconnectivity with other human beings. So it's an honor for me to be here today. I think that you can create a lot of value in your business and your personal life by reading this book. This book is not just stories from me. It's a collection of stories from many, many users around the world and the results they've received. I have a couple of hundred of those books right back here on the deal. Because you came here tonight, I'm going to give you a book. All you got to do is go back and grab one, okay? All you got to do is grab one. Grab one and take it home. Now, I am going to ask for something in return. And it's easy, okay? Here we go, going in for the sell. Does it make sense that... Does it make sense that if you read this book and you like it, that you might go to Amazon and put a nice review on there for me? Would that make sense? Can you do that? Now, I was taught when I was growing up, I'd go to church in a little thing called primary, and they would say to us in primary all the time, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. So if you don't like the book, just don't make a comment. You just don't even need to go there, okay? I'm kidding. You can say whatever you want. That's what it's all about, and do it. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you. Thanks, Bart.
Hey, you go. Hang on.
You want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Guys, Cody Baby one more time.
Thank you. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
He's running out the stage. I was going to say some more nice stuff about him. But anyway, okay, y'all can hear me now. So Cody, I've had a chance to work with Cody for 12 years, and we traveled all over the world together. What, 65, 70 events over the last 12 years from, wow, a lot of places. And I've built a tremendous friendship and amount of trust with Cody. And he's, this amazing service has allowed me to go places I've never dreamed about. Some of the relationships I have, some of the relationships like James, my fiancée Laura. I mean, there's so many things I could say that Send Out Cards has given me as a service, because I love to show appreciation. It was something my mom and dad taught me. And it's just meant the world to me. It's built relationships with many of y'all in here. With Cameron Thorne and Mark Shepard. Where's Cameron and Mark at? Where's Mark? There's Mark. See, he shaves about every three, he has a different look every time, but big thank you to Cameron and to Mark for everything they've done for being their title sponsors of the event. So hands to Cameron and Mark. And I appreciate Cody and James to join us tonight. And of course, all our sponsors. Did everybody have a chance to meet all our sponsors and to say hello to everybody? I mean, were they fantastic or what? So, and I know that Amy has, I know she has an announcement to somebody I need to announce for a big winner here shortly. But it kind of reminds me, I was just in Columbus, Ohio at an event with a good friend of mine, Lewis Howe. Lewis Howe's like number 26 all-time on podcasts. He's really a kind of a hitter. We've known each other for 10 years. He's been a customer of mine for 10 years. And I flew out, and he had a gentleman on stage, and we're talking about Cody and his stories, because life is a collection of stories, and talking with James as well, and how do you serve? I love to educate. I like to share stories with people to show the value of what I might have to offer, and how can I serve you, especially as a BNI member. And there was a guy on stage. He was an amazing speaker. Jay Shetty was one of them, and this guy was named Dr. Mark Hyman. He had an amazing message, but he spent about 30 minutes, and he talked. He talked a lot, had a lot of statistics, a lot of this, a lot of that. It's kind of glazed over. You know how sometimes statistics kind of glaze over, like me talking right now, as I'm sure? Anyway, I'll be done in a second. And then Mark started telling stories about people that he has helped, about life-changing stories, people that he has changed his life. Within 10 minutes of him sharing those two stories, I bought 3 books of Mark's, and they got here. One got here yesterday, and one's getting here today. So I'm really excited about that. But it all goes to say facts tell and stories, facts tell and stories sell. That's what the power of human connections is all about. That's what we do with Send Out Cards. We share. We show appreciation. And that book is absolutely amazing. I know you'll get so much out of it. Matter of fact, every Wednesday, Cody does a show called Relationship Marketing Weekly. If you go to facebook.com/Cody Bateman, every Wednesday at 1 p.m., he has a new show on, and there are amazing stories of case studies of people that use the service, okay? Similar to what we're going to be doing with professional business connections. We hadn't talked a whole lot about this, but there's a reason that we're all here today. And come looking at December 1st, you're going to see a collection of stories from people within the BNI in northern Utah that share with you all about themselves, their business, how BNI has affected themselves, their own personal business, and their own story on how BNI has benefited with them. Because let me ask you a question. If you're a BNI member and you're looking for an HVAC guy, and you can go somewhere where there's an incredible story how an HVAC guy, his first 5 months in BNI, has generated over $80,000 in closed business. Do you think that would resonate with another HVAC guy that you're trying to get in your BNI group? Yes? All together now, all right. This is what we're doing with the professional business connections. So you're going to have a collection of stories, some amazing interviews, and it's going to be in video, it's going to be in articles, it's going to be in podcasts. And Cameron and Mark is doing this to serve you as BNI members to help you grow your chapter. So another big shout out to Mark and Cameron. So with that being said, how about a brand new book? Anybody? Cody Bateman, thank you so much. James Muir, Mark, Cameron, thank you so much. And everybody out in internet world, thank you so much. Cameron, thank you for your help on the live stream, Robin Hood Studios. And where's Tony Cox? Okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna give away like big cash right now. Come on up. I'm gonna draw. Okay, somebody's about to get lucky off me.
This is all in the spirit of Giver's Game.
All in the spirit of Giver's Game. Mr. Jerry